This is the Chopped Podcast, episode number 12. Oh, man. Hey everyone, I'm Marley of the blog Namely Marley. Thanks for joining me today for the 12th episode of the Chopped Podcast. This is the podcast designed for people just like you, bloggers who love food. Each week I'm sharing interviews, thoughts, and stories, everything related to food blogging, so we can all learn together about what works with food blogging and even a little bit about what doesn't. Today's guest is Gerry Speirs of the site Foodness Gracious. Don't you just love that name? I do. It's so cool. Gerry and I are talking about strategies to grow page views for your site. I know you're going to love it. But first, I just want to give a shout out to everyone who left reviews, tweets, emails, just so much great feedback about the podcast. I just love it. Doing this podcast is a lot of hard work. I spend hours editing each episode, and that's surely something that I hope to refine as I go along and get a little faster at. But you know what? I just really love it because each week I'm thinking about you when I'm doing this, and I'm thinking about how much I would have loved having a show like this when I was starting out, or even like yesterday, because, this is really complicated stuff that we're doing, and just to hear the voices of other food bloggers and to hear their stories and some of the tips and tricks that they're doing is so helpful. And so I just really love doing this for you guys, and it's helpful to me as well. So I won't lie. But we're all smart people, and yet food blogging can be so hard sometimes. And I can't tell you how many times I have talked with people and enthusiastically said to them, oh my God, you should start a blog about whatever topic it is that they seem to be passionate about. But, when you roll up your sleeves and you get into it and you realize how much work is involved, I think it's caused me to be a little more hesitant before I throw that out to people now. Not to say that I would discourage anybody from getting into food blogging, but, it's just a lot of work and you have to be really dedicated. But you and me, we're in this together, right? And we're in this for the long haul. So we need to pull back the curtain and shed some more light on food blogging and how to make it work, because even though it's hard work, it's like in our DNA right now, right? And what else can we even do at this point? We just have to make this work. So that's one of the reasons I reached out to Gerry, because I saw a post of his where he mentioned that he created a strategy to get to 100,000 page views. And actually, this was after the fact, because he was celebrating the fact that he had created this strategy and that he actually achieved that goal. Yay, Gerry! So that was pretty exciting. So that's why I reached out to him to ask him if he would talk a little bit more about his strategy and to share some of the tips that he had for reaching that goal of increasing his page views. Specifically, Gerry and I talk about a lot, but we talk about, for example, the importance of good photography and just providing good quality content to grow your traffic. We talked about networking with other food bloggers, by going to conferences and by being a part of sharing groups or things like that. Other ways that you can network and get to know other bloggers. Commenting on their sites, obviously, is another way of doing that. He talked about how SEO played a role in supporting his blog's growth. That's really important. Actually, Gerry and I talked about several things, and I really enjoyed putting together that handy guide on the previous episode where we talked about trademarking. And so I decided to do that on this one as well. So there's a nice little guide that you can download from the site on how to grow your page views. And it includes strategies that Gerry's talked about here, but also a few more. So head over to chopcon.com and click on podcasts to learn more. Besides all the great content, Gerry's got an awesome accent. He's from Scotland, and he even talks about how he and his wife met. It's so sweet. I can't wait to share that with you. One quick thing before the interview. We have lots of exciting news coming your way very soon about the Chopped Conference. I just can't wait to tell you. It's going to be another great year, and I hope you're going to be there to make it even greater. Mark your calendar for October 15th through 16th, 2015. You won't want to miss it. Let's go straight to that interview with Gerry. Today's intro shout out is to Matthew Ivan of the site Plating Pixels. Matthew listened to the Chop podcast this week while driving to a food blogging conference in California. Matthew, I'm with you. I love listening to podcasts while driving. So everyone, make sure the gas tank's full, strap on those safety belts, be sure to have your latte loaded in the cup holder, start your engines, and let's tune in and talk about all things food blogging and so much more. Hey everyone, I'm so excited to have Gerry Speirs of the cleverly named blog Foodness Gracious on the show today. Gerry, welcome to the Chopped podcast.
Thank you.
Gerry, I'm really looking forward to talking with you today about your blog and your strategic and exciting growth that you've experienced. But first, I want to ask you how this all began. What caused you to start a food blog?
Well, it's kind of a long story, which I'll keep short, but it all started when my son was born, and that was almost 5 years ago now. I actually started a dad blog. That was my plan, nothing to do with food. And that blog is still live on Blogger, but it hasn't been updated in many, many years. So I started this dad blog about our travels as a stay-at-home dad. And then because of my food background, I started, I used to make his baby food fresh and everything, so I started adding recipes. And just recipes took over from being, days at the park or days at the museums or wherever. And then I saw too many recipes in there, so I started Foodness Gracious, and I kind of moved it all over.
So your original blog was really about being a stay-at-home dad?
Yeah, it was called One Dad and His Blog.
That's great. And the food stuff really took off, and that's what made you think, hey, I need to change the focus here.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
How did you come up with the name Foodness Gracious?
I just think, I really don't know. It was the whole play on the goodness gracious.
Yes.
And then I said Foodness Gracious, and it's not my favorite name. There's no way I would change it now. I mean, it's your brand pretty much.
Right.
But I'm always surprised at how many people, when I tell them, at conferences or whatever people I meet, they say, that is such a cool name. I love it. And inside I'm like, I don't really like it, but, it is what it is.
Maybe it'll be something you come to love over time, because it is very creative and it sticks in your head a little bit.
Yeah, I don't hate it. I'm like, I don't know why I picked that. But definitely a play on the words goodness gracious.
Yeah, I definitely, I caught that and I thought, oh, that's really creative. I liked it a lot.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's great. Have you always had an interest in cooking, or what caused you to be making homemade baby food?
Well, I thought I would have tons of time when I became a stay-at-home dad. Obviously, It was new for me, and it turned out, there was no time. So,
right.
But I could make the food easily enough. It was just simple things like, the purees and stuff. I've always had a food background, so I've always cooked, baked. So it was kind of like a natural progression for me.
So tell me what that means when you say I've always had a food background. Does that mean you were in a kitchen or just cooking at home?
A little bit of both. I left school and I went to a kind of culinary college, but it was more for the baking side. And then I served an apprenticeship in a local bakery, and this was all back in Scotland when I lived there. And then I moved into retail stores and their bakeries, and then I wanted to try. I was always kind of drawn to the pastry side, so I wanted to try some kitchens and restaurants. So I done a little bit of time in the restaurants, but it is really hard work and awful hours. So I kind of went back to the better hours of the bakeries and stuff, and that was how I kind of started into food.
Interesting. I see. So I've heard that said by many people that working as a chef is really, really grueling.
It is. But when I look back, and probably anybody will tell you this too, I kind of miss it because of there's kind of like a camaraderie in a kitchen.
Yeah.
It's fast. Everybody's trying to work as a team. If somebody is slower or having an issue, somebody else will jump in and help you.
Yeah.
Because the main goal is everybody just wants to get that plate out the door.
I get that, Gerry, because I think sometimes being a food blogger can be kind of isolating, and I miss that camaraderie of working with teams as well.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, you work. I mean, most food bloggers are working from their home, right?
Yeah.
So there's nobody else here.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it.
Yeah, and you're doing everything from
Oh yeah, you're
from
doing everything.
chopping the vegetables to baking to taking the photographs to editing to it just goes
Yep,
on.
yep, absolutely everything.
And so that gets to be a lot on one set of shoulders after a while. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and especially if you start to get busy, and and it kind of takes off. We all want growth and stuff, but it can get busy and hectic.
Now, I just have to ask you an aside question, since you mentioned that you're from Scotland, because we're actually doing this interview on St. Patrick's Day. Is that something that you celebrate there?
In Scotland, not so much.
Yeah.
I'm sure they do somewhere, but it's not like a big thing.
Yeah.
Over in Ireland, obviously, in Dublin, which is very, very close to Scotland, and that's actually where I met my wife. But that's a whole different story. But Dublin, they party.
It's a big deal.
Yeah. And it's fun. I've been there, and like I said, that's kind of how I connected with my wife, who's Californian. But we met actually today.
Really?
No, actually, sorry. I always get mixed up. We met on the 18th, the day after St. Patrick's Day.
I gotcha. It's close enough, right?
So that's the day we met, and we met in Dublin.
Interesting. Well, my last name is McMillan, and so we actually originated in Scotland and then moved over to Ireland, or at least the heritage did that.
Right.
Kind of cool. So I feel a connection with you, Gerry.
No, that's good. That's good.
Yeah. So tell me, I love your food photography, and I'm curious how you developed those photography skills.
A lot of it was just by trial and error.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of research, reading, and I've taken I think 1 or 2 classes, which helped. But just looking at other people's stuff on social media and internet, and finding out how they did that, and like a lot of it though is just messing around with your camera and messing around with light and stuff, and it just kind of clicks somehow.
Somehow you find the spot that works best for you. Yeah,
and it's always a learning curve. I mean, I'm still trying new stuff.
So what's your favorite part about food blogging?
The photography, definitely.
I could almost guess that would be your answer, because you've got such creative shots and they really speak for themselves.
Thanks, I appreciate it. I mean, I think nowadays you have to pull something, or try and pull something different out of the bag all the time.
Yeah.
Because there's just so much going on in the world of social media now and stuff. You got to try and be a little different.
So the photography is the one way to definitely stand out in all these social media. Each platform, it seems to be relying more on photography. It
is. Yeah. I mean, I speak with a lot more brands now that I've kind of connected through the photography side, and not so much the numbers side, which I really kind of stressed over like a long time ago, like page views and all that traffic nonsense.
Yeah.
But a lot of brands are really focused on the photography now, which is interesting.
That makes it a good area to be. That it's good that you like that area then.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I would love to see that just take off and just explode, and I would love to do that for the rest of my life.
Ah, that's great. Is there anything about food blogging that you don't like so much?
That's a good question, and I'm pausing because I find it hard to answer that, because I don't know if I do. Like, there's something I don't like.
That's good.
I really like it all. Sometimes I have to, pinch myself and say, I do this every day, and there's never a day yet, hopefully, knock on wood, that I get tired of it. So I just like every aspect of it, just some pieces more than others.
Yeah, that's really great. It's great to hear.
I think I struggle a little on the writing, so maybe I would say the writing part might not be my most favorite, but once I get going, it kind of flows, hopefully.
Yeah. I think writing must be like going to the gym then. It's like the hardest part is getting there.
Right, but once you get on that treadmill, you're like, okay.
I'm here, I'm there, yeah.
Yeah, and you can't go back, so.
putting the sneakers on and, getting there to the gym is the hardest part.
Yeah, that's a good analogy, getting that first paragraph down. It's like,
Yeah. Staring at that blank screen, like, okay, what am I going to say about this coffee cake? I have no idea.
I know, it's just a coffee cake. But
I know. It's true. So one of the reasons I wanted to have you on the show is because I heard you talk recently about you took some very strategic steps to get you to over 100,000 page views. And congratulations on that, by the way. That's really great.
Thanks.
Can you tell why that was a goal of yours? At least at one point, I know it was a goal of yours.
It was, yeah. Well, I don't want to seem shallow, but I really wanted to get into the ad networks. Mm-hmm. But I wanted to be like, I had some ads on my blog before, getting the page views, but I'm not techie at all, and they were kind of all over the place, all messed up. So I wanted, I got my blog redone, and I wanted everything looking a little bit better. Mm-hmm. So to get one of those networks to help me and take care of it seemed like a really good thing for me. And obviously you have to get to a certain amount before you might get accepted. So that was one factor, and then just a goal. I don't know. I heard so much about, getting to 100,000 or whatever, and I saw my numbers creeping up, but I wasn't paying as much focus on it as I should have been, I don't think. Mm-hmm. Pinterest is my number one traffic referral, and I never really paid that much attention to it. I just kind of accepted it, like what was happening in Pinterest. So I wanted just to give it some more love and see where it took me, and if I could get there to the magical 100,000.
So just to clarify for anybody who might be listening that has questions about some of that, basically what I think I'm hearing you say is that it's to get some of these, if you have ads on your site,
yeah,
there are companies out there that will help manage those ads, but a lot of them want to have a minimum of 100,000 page views a month.
Pretty much, yeah. And again, it was just not so much about the money that the ads bring in, but just for the peace of mind and to take something away from me that I was kind of struggling over,
right?
Like managing those ads.
Because it can get really complicated.
Oh, it can, and I had no clue, and I still really don't,
right.
about how ads work, and fitting them on the blog, and
which is the best one, and what?
Yeah, exactly, and the best size and everything. So I love the fact that you can just, you have someone else, and you don't really pay them, and you don't even pay them a fee, but they take a cut, obviously.
Right.
But it's really, I love it that they just, because what's beneficial to me is also beneficial to them. They want to push it as much because they're getting paid through it too. So.
Right. And do you think it's helped also with working with brands that you can say that you have over 100,000 page views a month?
I would say so. Yeah, I always like to mention it. But like I mentioned before, I very rarely get asked for like my media kit now and stuff, which is kind of strange.
Yeah.
I made one up and I thought it was really important a long while ago, and but nobody really asks for it now. It's kind of like I give them like an outline if I need to, and explain what I could do for them, and I link them up to the blog if they haven't seen it, and I also have a photography website which is kind of like a portfolio for me, and I put that on there too, and I usually get complimented on that. So I think the pictures for brands are maybe a little just as important as numbers nowadays.
I see what you're saying. Yes, exactly. The fact that you've got this, stunning photography speaks for itself in some ways.
Right, and they can take. If they can take that picture and they can push it in Pinterest or whatever, and then they can reap the benefits of traffic that way. So, you know, it's advertising in many different aspects.
So in some ways, I just have this question in the back of my mind. Like, I wonder if maybe it was as beneficial for you personally to reach that milestone because it gave you the confidence to start working with brands more.
It did. It definitely did. You know, I was proud that I reached that, and I still am. Although after the holidays, it kind of slumped a little bit, but I got it back.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely confidence, and you know, I did feel I watched it pretty much every day, which is probably not a good thing to do. But I saw it rising, and I saw it rising, and I just kept going and following some stuff. I mean, I didn't really write or create any amazing tips or anything because there's a lot of stuff out there that can explain to you how you could drive your traffic. So I just kind of took them. But I committed myself to using those tips. You know, it's kind of like how you said about the gym earlier. You have to, if you want to go to the gym, you have to really get up and go and keep going, and then you'll see results and you'll feel better. So it's the commitment part. You know, I felt like I could take these tips that fortunately other food bloggers have written, and I just said to myself, I've got to commit to these tips and follow through with them. And as I did, I saw the numbers of the page views, you know, rise.
Yeah.
And that was it.
Well, let's talk about some of those tips. Are there, you know, do you have like 4 or 5 of them that you can share with us?
I would definitely, I signed up using Viral Tag.
Okay.
So scheduling, because, I mean, if you don't do that, sitting on Pinterest for times of the day can suck up a lot of time, you know. So scheduling on Viral Tag was huge for me. I love it. And you can schedule like months and months in advance, you know.
And let's clarify again for people, the thing about, you know, these are sharing apps, and one of the things that they do is help you pin out into the future. You can schedule your pins out into the future. It's probably one of the few, I think, is Tailwind another one that works with Pinterest?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, there's only a few.
Oh, yes. That's one I've been hearing about recently, too. Yeah. Tailwind.
So, you know, having that, and the nice thing about them is, from what I understand, is that, you know, they schedule the pin to appear on Pinterest at a time that's best to get the most, you know, interaction.
Yeah, definitely. And you can just focus on doing maybe an hour on one day, and you could schedule all these pins out for you know months in advance, and
that's
and
great.
It really helps. It's a great time saver.
Now, let me ask you a question though. That's not free, is it? That kind of took an investment on your part.
Yeah, it did. I think the rate now for Viral Tag is about $30 per month.
Yeah.
So, but you can team up with another couple of bloggers, and you can
share that account.
You can share that account. I'm not sure if it's completely allowed.
Yes.
I would need to check on that, but you can do that. So
I see what you're saying.
That helps.
Right. But still, there's something about saying, you know what, this is important to me. I'm going to take this investment, and I'm going to invest into my business here. Yeah,
and definitely with Pinterest. I mean, I know for a lot of people, it's a really good traffic driver.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody goes on Pinterest for something, you know. So.
Yeah, exactly. Does Viral Tag allow you to you know, schedule to other social medias or just Pinterest?
Just Pinterest.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you do anything, any kind of scheduling with the other social media sites?
I did. I done like the trial run for CoSchedule. But I might go back to that, but I just didn't find that as appealing to me, just because it was for Facebook and Twitter and stuff, and I do use them, but I really wanted to focus on Pinterest because it was my number one. So I was like, I have this amount of traffic in Pinterest already, and I don't do anything with it. So I really need to jump in and work some magic with it. So, and I didn't want to get, completely overwhelmed with all these scheduling tools and trying to fix every aspect of my social media.
Right.
I kind of wanted to nail it down to one.
So that's a good tip in and of itself, is to pick the one that's doing the best for you right now and to focus on that.
Yeah, definitely. Pick the one that you're getting most benefit from, and you can go back and visit the others another time. But if you try to do them all, it can get really overwhelming.
Yeah, exactly. Because each one requires different kinds of photos or different kinds of, it can be overwhelming quickly.
Yep, definitely.
So pick the social media that's doing the best for you and focus on that. Do you have any other tips that you used?
Going back to the blog, I try to post more consistent. I try to post 3 times a week. And that has helped, I think, definitely, too. And just trying to get those pictures and the quality of the blog to keep it like at a maximum.
Yes.
For me.
So post 3 times a week, but make them high quality posts.
Yeah. And if I'm doing a post or I'm making something and it's just not turning out, or something else happens, like I don't stress out about, oh my gosh, I gotta get this done.
Yeah.
Because I know some bloggers who have posts scheduled for weeks in advance, and I've tried that, and I change my mind so often, so I'm kind of like, I kind of fly by the seat of my pants with my posts. But I mean, I plan them out, but I don't work that far ahead. But back to the thing I was trying to say was, if I'm doing one and I'm just not feeling it, and like I'll just step back and say, you know what, I'm gonna post it in 2 days instead of trying to post it tomorrow or whatever. Because I think if you try to rush a post or rush your photography, I think it shows. And for me, I just know that if I'm not happy with it, I really don't want to put it up. So, I don't mind stepping back. Although I'm trying to schedule consistently, if I'm just not feeling it, I'll just step back and say, you know what, I'm not going to put this one up. So.
Yeah, I'm curious, what's typically happening for you when it's not working? What is it, the lighting's not right, or what's usually happening?
Yeah, it could be the lighting, could be the weather, could be that the recipe's just not working, or the kids have appeared.
Yeah.
Yeah. That can happen.
Mm-hmm.
Or the time is just, I'm running out of time. A lot of things can happen.
Yeah.
But that's where the planning comes in. I mean, for each thing I make, that is planned about a week ahead in itself. Because when I get up in the morning, if I'm going to make that particular thing, I got to do it. I got to get up and get going with it. I can't take the kids to school and then come back and think, okay, so what am I going to need? Because the time is just ticking for me. I have a kind of small window between, taking the kids to school, which fortunately my wife does most of the time, but I pick them up around after lunchtime. So, and then after that, it's time to help with homework and house stuff. So the blog, I try to get all my blogging stuff done in the morning.
I wonder if it's kind of nice to have that restricted window, because it forces you to be very targeted with your time.
Yeah, that's a good point. Definitely. Yeah, because you could maybe get lost and you look at your watch and it could be 2:30, and the light for me is a big part. If I see the light where I took my pictures, a particular spot in the house, if it gets past noon or between noon and 1, it starts to become really sharp and harsh.
Yeah. And
more on the yellow side. So I try, like for me, the best light is like about 8:30 to 11:30. So if I stick to that, then I can get stuff done, and I'm like, okay, that's it, it's done. So
that means I can imagine that means you want to have it done and ready earlier than that, so that it's ready to be shot by that period, by that time.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I've seen myself up, putting stuff in the oven at 5:30 or 6 in the morning. So
I just imagine if it's your family and they're smelling, I don't know,
yeah, I don't know.
lasagna.
They must be used to it by now, but I think they are.
Yeah, it's just it'd
and
be an interesting
they know
smell.
not to touch it.
I don't mean smell. It'd be an interesting aroma to wake up to, the lasagna in the morning, but it would be good.
Yeah. My kids would be a little confused, but they would eat it. They eat anything. So
That's good. That's very good.
yeah.
Okay, so
sure.
we've talked about social media sharing, your post consistency. You like to post around 3 times a week, and you like to keep the quality up to a certain level that feels good to you. Do you have any other tips that you felt like really helped you? Like, what about SEO? Did you do anything with that?
I did. I used Yoast.
Yeah.
I installed that, and I love the the way it kind of guides you through when you're writing your post.
Yeah.
You can look at the little menu at the bottom, and you get the green light, the orange light, or
Yes.
the yellow light kind of thing.
Yeah.
That has helped me tons. I really like that as a tool, and I would recommend that.
I'll leave a link in the show notes page for people for that.
Right. So I would recommend that, and it's easy enough to install. And Yoast and social media groups. So I'm a part of a few Facebook groups, and everybody kind of helps everybody in there by sharing their content. So
Yes.
you can list it up there on the page. We change it every week, sometimes daily, and you just hopefully also stumble upon. It took me a long time to kind of stumble upon it. I didn't think I was getting anything back, but I heard people say you kind of got to stick with it because good things can happen.
Yes.
And
you feel like that's happened for you?
Definitely. I've had a few really good stumble posts, and for the amount of time, if I put something up on one of my Facebook sharing groups that other people are stumbling, I mean, it might take me 20 seconds at the most just to put that link up, but not everyone gets, it gets picked up on Stumble, but when it does, it can go really big, and it's really helpful, so it's worth the time to join some groups, and Pinterest groups, Stumble groups. There's so many,
Do you think that might also help, being a part of those groups might help? We were talking about earlier about how isolating food blogging can be.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, social media nowadays, I've met some really great people through it, and they've helped me a lot. And it's great to meet those people in real life, and I met most of them in real life now by conferences and stuff. But some I haven't, but I feel like they're really good friends.
Yeah.
Whether I chat through some kind of group daily with them, or but it's really, really good to have that. If you have a problem, you can post a question, and someone's going to give you an answer.
Yeah,
exactly. It's usually pretty fast because everybody's checking their social media all day long.
Yeah, exactly. And so conferences, that's probably a really good tip for people if you're serious about growing your page views. It's not as if going to a conference increases your page views, but you are connecting with other people with the same goals, and that's helpful.
Yeah. I mean, the whole blogging world is just, you could probably narrow it down to just like sharing, and I know it can be kind of overwhelming and feel like there's so many bigger bloggers around, and they are, but you just kind of got to ask if you have a question, a genuine question, and there's, if you don't ask, you don't get. So I ask stuff a lot, and I really, don't mind answering other people's questions. So it's just about sharing and networking, and for me, I love it so much what I do, but it's it's slowly evolved into like a little mini business. So that's why I do it, and I just love it, But definitely network and ask questions.
One more question on this, topic of tips to grow your page views. You mentioned at some point that you were, looking at your stats on a regular basis. Do you have any system for tracking your stats over time?
I use statcounter.com and just Google Analytics. And a lot of people would say, don't look at them daily, and I totally agree with that. I just kind of done that at that time because I was keen to see the growth, and if it wasn't growing, like, I had to do something else different. I mean, now I don't check them daily. I mean, it would drive you crazy sometimes. So
right.
But I think, like any business, you have to watch your numbers, and if it's not growing or expanding, see what's up and go in and fix it or change something and use a different method or something. So it's really handy to see your numbers, and when you do grow, it's really what's the word I'm trying to get? It's really encouraging,
Yeah.
So, but I wouldn't get. I mean, I would just put that out there as a side note. Don't get hung up on it because it can drive you crazy.
Well, yeah, because in the end, it's one of those things you don't really have the control over. You have the control over developing great content and putting it out there, but you don't really have control of whether if StumbleUpon takes it and goes crazy with it. That's out of your control. Yeah,
it's just great. It's free and it's free traffic. So but there's other things you could be concentrating on, and how your blog looks and just doing great content.
Yeah. I was just going to ask you, a lot of bloggers mention frustration with the administrative side of blogging. I'm curious if you have any tips or things that have worked for you as far as the business side of blogging, like, how you keep track of your finances and expenses and things like that.
Yeah, that's a good question. I could be better, and I know my wife would agree with that. She was just on at me the other day there saying, do you need this piece of paper? What's this piece of paper?
I know the feeling.
So, yeah, but I do, I try to keep things separated and I would say I was organized, definitely. You got to be organized. Yeah. But I wouldn't say that was my favorite side of blogging either.
Yeah, I can understand that.
But if you keep organized, then your future will be easier and better, rather than if it's unorganized and you have to go back and try and find something. So I'm getting better at that. I make like little spreadsheets of my pins and spreadsheets of like what I'm going to be posting, So I'm getting better at the planning. So that helps, and I like to do that. And there's things that, I got a new Apple computer, and there's things on there that just make it so easy nowadays for you to do that. So.
Yeah, like invoicing and things like that.
There's templates for everything now, pretty much.
Yeah. So. Do you have a virtual assistant or marketing assistant that helped you, or are you doing this all on your own?
All on my own. Although my wife, I got to bring her in again. That's her job. She's marketing. So I'll ask her advice now and again. And she's always there to help. When I used to write blog posts, she used to edit them. But that I didn't really like that.
Yeah.
So
plus, when you're posting 3 times a week, it's really...
It just became too much. Yeah. I would say, okay, can you edit this? And she'd be like, well, she'd be doing her homework or whatever. So
yeah.
And that doesn't happen anymore. But if I have a problem or an issue, then I'll ask her, and she'll definitely help me out.
Yeah, sometimes my husband will, even after it's been published, he'll point out a typo. because it's impossible to catch all that stuff, and so it's.
Yeah, definitely.
I always appreciate going, and I go back in there and.
Yeah, it's great to just get another set of eyes on it.
Yeah, exactly. So, what's your favorite social media platform? I think I know what you're going to say, but I'm going to ask it anyway.
My favorite, probably, I want to say Instagram.
That's a very popular answer right now, which is I think it's a sign. Here's my guess on why so many people like Instagram, is there's not a lot of rules around it.
Yeah, but also there's not a lot of ways to mess it up or manipulate it too, which is good. So I don't that's why I think there doesn't need to be a lot of rules.
Yes.
I mean, it's pretty simple. It's very visual, and I think that's why I like it. And it's not getting swamped by ads or stuff you don't want to see. It's just some really nice pictures and comments. Simple. So I hope it never changes. So.
I kind of do too. I mean, I really like the way it is right now. I know I've heard rumors of things changing up, but I hope that it doesn't. Do you have any tips for people who may be new to Instagram and are hoping to build their audience there?
Yeah, probably interaction again. Just searching and commenting on other people's. That can work wonders. And then joining as many things that or many other people that are of interest to you.
Mm-hmm.
So don't just join random people, but things that you really like and kind of get a connection. But definitely go on there and leave comments, and hopefully you'll get some comment love back, and that's a great way to grow followers.
That's great. So what's coming up next for you, Gerry? Anything you can share?
I have a conference next month, I think. Actually, May. That'll be in Portland.
You're speaking?
No. I'm just.
You're going to that conference.
Just attending, yeah. So I'm kind of looking forward to that. I love Portland.
It's a great town.
Nice. Yeah, it'll be nice to see some friends up there. What's next? I'm gonna update my camera equipment.
Really? Are you a Canon or Nikon guy?
I'm a Canon guy.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know why. That's just how I fell into it, by Canon.
So you're getting a new Canon?
Yeah, I'm gonna go and get a full frame camera now.
Ah, nice.
Just kind of update it. I just see it as another way of expanding and trying to grow.
That'll go well with that computer then.
Yeah, I mean that computer was a great investment too. I had another kind of laptop, and the difference between my old laptop and the MacBook was night and day. Speed and looking at it and the visual display and everything. I'm continually blown away by that.
I made the transfer from PC to Mac. When my husband's a big Mac guy, he's a graphic designer, so that was the big impetus with that. And at first I was like, I can't believe I don't have the time for this. It's frustrating. And then once I got used to it, it's like, wow, this is amazing.
Yeah, it's kind of like second nature. People, that's what I heard. Trying to go from PC to Mac is terrible. But I don't know. I just kind of fell into it and just figured it out. I didn't really have a problem with it.
Nice.
So, yeah,
it is very intuitive. It's just, having been on a PC for so long, and I think I was really in a crunch time at the time, so it was very stressful.
Yeah. And I'm sure there's things that I could be learning that would make my life easier, and I haven't done that yet. So, I'm sure I'm not using all the tools that are available to me on that MacBook. So.
Well,
I should look into that.
There's a lot of sites that share tips on how to maximize all that. But I was just thinking, I guess going to a full frame camera, the file sizes are larger, so that'll help having that new computer.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
But full frame is awesome. I shoot on a Nikon 300 right now, a D300, and so it's cropped sensor. But
okay,
full frame is a nice goal to have.
Yeah, and again, if you aren't shooting on full frame, it's not the end of the world.
Right.
I am not going to sell. I use a Rebel right now, and I'm not going to sell that. I'm going to keep that.
Good idea.
Because I love it, and I have lenses for that, and I think I'll still use that in the odd occasion that I do need to. I just see it as a next stepping stone for me personally in the photography. So.
That's excellent. So I just have a series of fun questions I like to ask people at the end of the interview.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, so what is the one food item you can't live without?
Oh, it's not really food. I was going to say coffee, But if it was food, one food item I can't really live without would be probably pasta.
Ah.
Yeah.
Any kind of
awesome.
pasta? I mean, that pasta is a big topic.
It is, but no, any kind of pasta. I don't know. That's a dream trip of mine is to go to Italy. We eat a lot of pasta in the house. So I don't know if I was like Italian in the former life or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, we love, and the kids love any kind of pasta. So.
Do you have a favorite pasta dish at all?
Probably shrimp pesto.
Okay.
Yeah.
The pesto has got to be the trick there, I think.
Yeah, and it's so simple. Pretty much any pasta dish, I think, is really simple. It's very hard to mess up, you know.
Yes, and that's what I'm really looking forward to. Spring is coming here to Kansas City, and so that I have my basil that I have on inside, but I don't know, for some reason growing it outside just makes it feel so exciting. So
yeah, and I'm the same. I have a pot right now on the sink, and I've been pulling away at that, but I'll be glad to get the little, because I have like a little herb garden thing
yes.
in the yard, and we need to get that filled up for the summertime.
Yes, lots of fresh herbs. I just love it. So,
yeah.
What's your favorite app on your phone?
Instagram.
Excellent, great. Do you have time for TV at all? And if you do, what's your favorite TV show?
I watch pretty much zero TV.
Really?
Actually. Yeah, and I don't know. I just rather be on the computer doing something. I think there's always something to do if you're blogging. But yeah, I don't watch any TV.
So what do you do for entertainment? Do you run or anything?
I like to cycle. Yeah.
Ah, good.
But I don't cycle as much as I should or as much as I like to. But if I wanted to get out, yeah, definitely. But sometimes I just, I like to just spend a day with the family and just take a drive somewhere. There's so many beautiful places here that you just go up the coast and, grab lunch at a little beachside restaurant or something and, just get out and get some fresh air,
That's a great way to, spending time with family is always, and especially you've got little ones at home, that's a great time to, spend time with them.
Yeah.
Okay, here's the trick question. French fries or onion rings?
Oh, definitely onion rings. Yeah.
Why? What's the difference between what draws you to the onion ring?
That's a good question. I don't know. I'll regularly switch up French fries for onion rings if I eat out. And one of my recent posts was, the Guinness beer battered onion rings that's up on the blog. But onion rings, I don't know. French fries are good. The onion, I don't know, the batter and the onion inside.
And that tender onion in the middle.
Yeah, you get a little dip in ranch sauce, and man, it's just so good.
That's excellent. So, Gerry, how can people find you online?
They can find me on Twitter. My handle is @FoodnessG. They can find me foodnessgracious.com, and they can find me on Instagram, Foodness Gracious. And I'm pretty sure I'm around other places too. That's
great. Gerry, thanks so much for taking the time to talk with me today. I really enjoyed it.
You're welcome. I enjoyed your questions, and I loved our chat.
Thanks so much to Gerry Speirs for being my guest on today's episode of the Chop Podcast. If you're zipping through town and can't take notes during the show, don't worry. I've got you covered. Just head on over to chopcon.com where I put up links for each show, including the stuff we talked about today and more information about our guests. If you like the Chop Podcast, I'd love it if you'd leave a review on iTunes. It helps the show get more traction. Also, you can spread the word about the Chop Podcast using @ChopCon on Twitter or Instagram, or even on Facebook. That's the kind of feedback that means so much. You inspire me so much, and I hope today's show was helpful and inspirational to you as well. Thanks so much for listening, and have a great week.